Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to put together this video for those that may be in the market for buying a hunting property. For those that do not know, I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Ohio, focusing on helping people buy and sell hunting properties. In this video, I just wanted to cover a few tips in finding that right hunting property for you. Now, these are through conversations that continuously come up when I'm helping buyers find that perfect property. What are some of the things that we're always focusing on when we're shortening that list and really making sure we find the perfect property? Now, step one is always going to be to secure what your budget is and also financing for that property. So I'm not going to go and get into the details of that, but more so just going to be focusing on the actual potential of the property, the trophy potential of the deer on that property you're looking at, as well as what is your time horizon for owning that property. Tip number one, how much potential does the property have? The first thing that I want to talk about here is turnkey hunting properties. Turnkey hunting properties are those beautiful listings that you see with the enclosed blinds, the planted food plots, a bunch of really big bucks on trail camera. Now, these properties are great, but in reality, they're just not in a lot of aspiring landowners' budgets. And the other thing to keep in mind about these turnkey properties is that they're very high up in terms of potential. So if you're somebody who's looking to come in and improve that property in many different ways, a turnkey property might not be for you. And you may be better off looking for that property that might not have hunting history, doesn't have any improvements, where you can really get in there and you can make it your own. Now, this is where I really like to flip on my consulting brain when I'm going out and I'm designing properties with landowners, creating a plan for them, and just looking at the raw landscape, looking at the terrain, and trying to get an understanding of how much potential, how many things can we do to this property to not only bring more deer on the property, but attract more bucks. So this can always be achieved through a variety of different methods, but anytime that I'm breaking down a property with a buyer, we're always trying to determine how much potential does this property have. Tip number two, trophy potential in the neighborhood. Now, when it comes to assessing trophy potential, this is oftentimes the biggest fear and the biggest excitement all wrapped into one for an aspiring landowner. There's a few different ways that you can go about figuring out and getting a good gauge on what the trophy potential is on this property you're interested in. The first and probably the easiest way to do that is by doing a search online, going into the record books, and taking a look at what are the record book entries in the county of the property that you're interested in. And then on top of that, are there recent entries, and is that trend going up or is that trend going down? Now, this is generally just going to be a starting point to give you an idea that you're looking in the right part of the state. The second tip here is going to be to reach out to the existing landowner. When you're able to do so, being able to get that history from the existing landowner is always such a big thing. Now, once you purchase the property, this can come into play even more, because if you can lean into that existing landowner and find out what are the better areas of the property that seem to hold more bucks, did you have better hunting opportunities in one part of the property or in the other? That's going to extremely shorten your learning curve. But in the sense of getting a gauge on what the trophy potential is, if you're able to get any information from the existing landowner beforehand, that's going to be great. Next up is the neighbors. Now, your neighbors can be that really good source that can help you expand beyond the trophy potential on your property and get an idea of the trophy potential in the neighborhood. By talking to the neighbors, you can get a really good idea on what types of success they've had in the past, what types of management practices that they're currently participating in, and then a lot of information as far as just getting your foot in the door, so if you do purchase that property, you get that relationship started on the right foot. Now, for those landowners that are neighboring to the one that you're looking at that you're not able to connect with, the other thing you can always do is get on the satellite map and start to take a look. With all of the updated satellite imagery that we have today, you can get a really good idea on how much investment from a time and a financial perspective that somebody is putting into their property. If they are going in there and they're doing some extensive cutting, if they're putting in food plots, all of those things show up really well on a satellite map. So if you are able to see that a lot of the neighboring properties have that, then you can have a pretty good idea that if somebody is willing to put in that much time and money into their own hunting property, then they're probably doing so for some higher quality bucks. Tip number three, stepping stone or long-term vision. When I'm talking about a stepping stone property, I'm talking about one that has a shorter time horizon. When you're looking at one of these shorter time horizon properties, one you might not want to own for a very long period of time, you may be better off looking at properties that have some negatives associated with them. These negatives can be things like difficult access, piles of trash or debris scattered around the property, or something that just doesn't quite lay out right for hunting purposes. This can oftentimes lead you to getting a better deal on the property, and not only that, but if you're able to go in there and remove the negatives from the landscape, providing a much more desirable property for a future landowner, you typically have an easier time selling it down the road. Now on the flip side of that, when we're talking about a long-term vision, a property that you know that you're going to be holding on to for a long period of time, potentially for the rest of your life, passing down to future generations, this is where I really like to focus on a set of non-negotiables. I always like to create this list of what are things that I cannot live without and make sure that my property has these, because if it's something that I plan on enjoying for the rest of my life, then I really want to make sure that that property is going to be everything that I want it to be 3, 5, 10 years down the road as I continue to enjoy that property for years to come. So as you can see, there can be a very big difference in a property that might be the right fit for that short-term vision and that property that might be that right fit for that long-term vision. So for a quick review on what we covered today, tip number 1, assessing the future potential of the property. Tip number 2, assessing the trophy potential of the neighborhood. And tip number 3, are we looking at a stepping stone property, or are we looking at one that we want to hold on to for the rest of our lives and future generations to come? If you're looking for more real estate content focused around the whitetail space, please give me some ideas on some topics in the comments down below. Also, we just launched a new course over with the Whitetail Partners Network. This course is titled How to Buy a Whitetail Property. It was put together by myself and Sam Billhorn, the founder of Whitetail Partners. This course has a 100-point checklist of things that you can look forward to when buying a property. It has over 3 hours of videos included, so you can find the link for that down in the description below. You can also head over to the Whitetail Partners website to find that. That's all I have for you today, guys, so I'll see you next time.